It's interesting that one hearing this story would say he was like a father, because on his first trip to San Francisco, I was massaging his feet one day, and I asked him, "Do you have any children?" And just without a hiccup of a missing a beat, he said, "You're not my child. You were my child." And I believed him. He was more of a father than I had experienced ever. And his love for us was so true and so wonderful. And he was so funny and sweet and knowledgeable and forgiving and guiding us in nothing but a good way. And we were just captured with love for him. It was just palpitating. It was just breathtaking how much you could love another human being. I was married, but this was a different kind of love. This was just heavenly love. It was just dreamy, wonderful.
So blessed.
Truly blessed, yes, truly blessed.
Srila Prabhupada loved coming to New Mayapur. It was a beautiful community, 200 acres. We grew so many fruits and vegetables and had a beautiful room for Srila Prabhupada. He felt really peaceful there, and he really was so happy that we were developing this farming community and having cows. And I remember I was going through a difficult time at that last time that he had come to New Mayapur. And, you know, when he spoke in class, you felt like he was speaking right to you. I felt like he was speaking right to me. And he said, no matter how much difficulty, you know, we are undergoing in Krishna consciousness, don't think that the happiness in the material world is better. He said, your worst day in Krishna consciousness, your most difficult struggle day is much, much, much better than any happiness you would experience in the material world. And he really implored us all, please don't leave Krishna. Don't leave Krishna. And, you know, it's not that we haven't left Krishna. Srila Prabhupada has never left us. And I can see, it's 50 years now that Srila Prabhupada has kept me and my family and my husband and my children and my grandchildren all under his wing. So he has promised to stay with us always, and he doesn't want us to leave. So that's wonderful memories.
So when Srila Prabhupada wanted to, the devotees took him to the Fisher Mansion. Ambarish and Govardhan took him there. He loved the Fisher Mansion. He said it'll be a perfect temple. He said every room is worth the asking price. As a matter of fact, he said, Krishna has saved this for us. So Prabhupada, after meeting with the owner and the real estate agent, they went out by the swimming pool at a table and sat there, and that's when Srila Prabhupada asked the owner to give us the property. He said, we're poor mendicants, if you can give us. And of course, the man wasn't able to, but he was asking $350,000. The mansion had been built in 1928 for $2 million. It was considered one of the most beautiful mansions, Art Deco style, in the United States. And so then Prabhupada offered him $300,000, and they said, well, let us think about it. So after that, the real estate agent left, and Prabhupada asked Ambarish, he said, so is this possible? Ambarish said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. So then they went back to the Jefferson Street Temple. Ambarish went right up to the Brahmacharini ashram, knocked on the Brahmacharini door, and said, is Leka Shivanti here? And so Lake Ashwanti came to the door, and Ambarish said, Srila Prabhupada wants us to buy the temple, He said, I can give half if you can give half. And immediately Lake Ashwanti said, yes. And so that's how that happened. But recently, we got the man, Gil Groen, who sold the property to us, gave his expressed in written word his idea and reflections about Srila Prabhupada. And Bob Roberts, who was the longtime photographer in Detroit, who passed away recently, wonderful devotee, he asked Gil this, and a few years ago before he passed away, he sent it to me. So this is the owner's impression of Srila Prabhupada. Later, Srila Prabhupada and I went to the patio area around the swimming pool and sat at one of the tables out there. This is where Prabhupada suggested that I donate the facility to ISKCON in a good-natured way. I replied that I had many obligations and would like very much to be in a position to give him the place, but my obligations made this impossible. He smiled, and as I recall, we discussed my asking price. My impression of Prabhupada was that I was privileged to have met a man of great substance and wisdom. I was not aware of the full meaning of enlightenment at that time, but I now know that was the proper description for this amazing being. Prabhupada had a kind of electrifying presence, and I could sense that I was with a great and wise human being.
I had been around other teachers, so I had been looking, so, but no, and this is what my next story will be about, is because really that is true, that we have Srila Prabhupada in our heart, and he's present in his teachings and is present in our lives culturally. He taught me how to eat. Mm-hmm. He taught me how to cook. He taught me how to clean. He taught me how to raise my babies. He taught me how to breastfeed. I didn't ever think of it, and he had us breastfeed our babies, I learned everything. So, but I wanted to tell you a story about when I was in Vrindavan in 1975, 76. I was so happy I was there in that time period. It was a difficult time right then I think for everyone really. But I was really happy because I was in Vrindavan, and it was such a goal for me to go to India, because the first group of devotees that went, I was just like so disappointed, and but I'm like, okay, okay. And then it was 1974, I think, or 75, and then Prabhupada was in LA, and that's when we went, Stoka Krishna went to Srila Prabhupada and said, we want to go to India. And Prabhupada said, go to Vrindavan. So we went, and Stoka Krishna ended up being, helping a lot with the temple management there and doing a lot of wonderful service. And anyhow, I was just very grateful to be there. But it was very difficult sometimes to have any personal contact with Srila Prabhupada. It was like there was it's by that time he had like his army around him or something of captains and generals and all that, So like and especially for me, because I was a mom. I had two little children, and so in India with two babies, it was pretty time. It's like I had to take care of things, and milk, even just to keep milk and all of those things. So. And I was used to doing a lot of service. I did Sankirtan, I did puppet shows, I did so many things in Los Angeles. So when I was there in Vrindavan, it was different. I was taking care of the babies, and you couldn't even go on the altar. You couldn't go in the kitchen. It was very different for me. But like I said, I was so happy to be there, and I did parikrams and so many things that I had the time to do. And Srila Prabhupada was there. And like I say, I would go by his door and I'd see there's just no way to get in there. You just forget it, And so I go to the temple room and stuff, and we did hear lectures every day, so that was awesome. And then there was this one evening, and I was walking from Sundar Arti, and I'm walking from the temple room up in Srila Prabhupada's quarters right there, and where the guest house was at that time, where now the restaurant is. So we were walking. So I was walking that way, and I look into Prabhupada's quarters, and there's nobody there, and Srila Prabhupada's there, but nobody at the door, nobody there. And I'm like, this is my chance. This is it, you know. I'm very glad I'm like that, actually. But anyhow, I looked, and I went, oh my gosh, I'm going in there now. And so I went up, and I walked in the door, and there was only one brahmachari who was leaned up against the wall, and he was kind of covered in his chadar, and he was chanting japa. And I'm going, wow, this is so quiet. And Srila Prabhupada was just up there at his desk, and he was reading, and just there at his desk, he had his leg up, one leg up, and he was just sitting and reading and doing different things. And so I sat down in the middle of the room and just started chanting. There's a pre-story to this, because I was in Mayapur and I just was rejected by one of the important people there. Some kind of confusion that I won't get into, but I felt rejected. Okay, just so you know, and I felt like there's just no way I could ever please Srila Prabhupada, because I'm a woman and because I have children, and I really believed that at that time, you know, that's how I was feeling, okay? And wherever any of that, okay, and we know the history of everything, so, you know, so anyhow, so I was like, okay, I felt kind of hopeless. And there I was sitting there in the room with Srila Prabhupada, and I felt that feeling, and I thought, this is the time that I can talk with Prabhupada about that, because I don't want him, because what I had heard is that this one devotee had told me that he told Prabhupada that I was lazy. And so I was really brokenhearted, you know, that I would think that Prabhupada would think I was lazy. Not that I'm not lazy, because now I know I am. But then I didn't feel like I was lazy. And I was really angry and also felt hopeless, because there was just no way, you know, that I was going to please Prabhupada or do anything right, you know, at that point. So anyhow, Srila Prabhupada was there, and I went up to his desk. I had the courage. I mustered it up. And I said to Srila Prabhupada, I just folded my hands, and Prabhupada came up and smiled. And so I knew I could speak. And I said, Srila Prabhupada, and I got out a few words, and then I just started crying completely, like, whoa! I mean, it was deep crying, like I should have been in therapy or something, you know. But Prabhupada sat there, and I was crying, Prabhupada, I'm a woman. There's no way I can please you. I'm a woman, and I have children, and they say I'm lazy now. And Srila Prabhupada, at that point, when he heard that, then I saw his arm go back, and he did this smile. It was like the universe or something. And when he did that smile, I just, oh my gosh, you know, how could he think that was a smile thing, you know? Because I was so sad. But that smile was like, he embraced me, you know, with that smile. And then he said to me, he came close and he goes, are you reading my books? That's what he said to me. Are you reading my books? And I was reading his books, because that's one thing that moms can do, okay? And when you're breastfeeding, everything is you could read books, okay? So I was reading, I was all the way up to the book that he was finished with, you know, and at that time it was probably like 7th canto, 6th canto or something, 5th canto, I don't even know. But it wasn't very much. But the thing was I read them. And so I said to Prabhupada, yes, Srila Prabhupada, I am reading your books. And he said, then you are pleasing me. Yeah. And I mean, you could imagine, and I just was so grateful, and I just felt so much love. That's why I say the unconditional love changed my life. And that was the bottom line, you know. So, you know, and and throughout, you know, we go through so much stuff, you know, trying to please Srila Prabhupada in a lifetime, you know. But I do study his books. I still study his books. And every day, you know. And really, what we were speaking about before, about the personal presence of Srila Prabhupada and that energy there, you know, that you feel and that just severs your attachments. And then you have him in his books, you know, that I can't say that the power of the books severs my attachments and my bad habits that I wish I could release, you know, but I remain connected. I remain connected with my teacher, with my guru, you know, through those books and through those teachings, you know. And I don't forget, you know, and some of now when I read the books too, it's sometimes hard because some of the things I'll read in there about women and stuff, you know. But because that was another thing, when you knew Srila Prabhupada, you can read the books. And it's so important, I think, for the devotees, for us, to share Prabhupada's mood of unconditional love like that, because when you read that, it doesn't come from a judgment place. Mm-hmm. It doesn't come from a place like, oh, they're not as good as us, you know. It comes from a place of service. It comes from a place of like, women, we serve them. We serve women for what their qualities are. Because when I was married by Srila Prabhupada, Stoka Krishna and myself, he told us at that time, he said, you don't give 50%, you know, looking at me. You don't give 50% and you give 50%. You both give 100%, you know? And that's what it is. It's like, you know, women, men, you know, we all give 100%, you know? It's not about this body or, you know, whatever. You know, we try to just give as much as we can, you know, we do. And I don't give 100%, you know, but I'm just saying that's what Prabhupada wants. He wants all of us, you know, so that was it.